But yeah, story took me by surprise, Bob. You got me pretty good. I usually can surprise you, but that one actually surprised me. So I was like, oh, I hadn't heard that. The world is so crazy that Harvard University has hired a new chaplain. And you may ask, well, what's the news about that? It's news because there he is. Greg Epstein, your atheist chaplain of Harvard University. Yep, atheist. Bob, you sent this to me. What was your first impression when you saw the headline? This is from The Guardian, but it's been picked up on a couple other sites.
Yeah. I was really surprised. I mean, if you look at Harvard's history, it was started by Puritans, and their first dozen presidents or so were all ministers or pastors or whatever. And it's just so amazing how it's turned tail on its tradition. I mean, granted, over the centuries, but yeah, I mean, this is about as extreme as it gets. So you have a atheist over, I don't know how many pastors or clergy people they have, 30, 40, whatever, of all different religions and whatever. The atheist is running the roost.
Yeah. So the second paragraph, obviously, Bob, the first paragraph actually echoes a lot of what you just said about the origins. They were Puritan colonists. It was actually founded to educate clergymen. And then it says Epstein, Greg Epstein, he is the author of Good Without God, What a Billion Non-Religious People Do Believe. And it has been the university's humanist chaplain since 2005 before and unanimously elected by his fellow campus chaplains as the University Chaplain Organization's new president. So he's been there for a while, and they have actually promoted him. So basically, this sounds like the church problem to me. Like I can't imagine different denominations not wanting the other denominations to be in charge. So we're just said our solution is we will just choose the atheist, the humanist, and that's what we'll go with there. So we won't have anyone that's principled like us at all. We'll fight over denominations or what separates us. This is his quote. I want to support students in the university community together around the fact that it's been an extraordinary trying time and almost anybody could be expected to have lost a little faith in humanity in recent years. All right, sure. That's that's kind of nihilistic and pessimistic, but okay. We have a lot that divides us theologically, but we have a tremendous amount in common when it comes to our shared desires to support the human beings in our community as they try to live lives of meaning and purpose in a world that can sometimes threaten to rob us of those senses, regardless of our beliefs. So, I mean, this is all fine. It's very global, high level stuff. He talks about his priority is assuring that he and his colleagues serve the university's most marginalized communities. There it is. There's always some sort of like, what's your priority? So I want to be a positive force and against the vision of Harvard that some people have as an institution of privilege and prestige over justice and equity. We want them to feel, regardless of their beliefs, that Harvard is equal for them, and that the better world we're all trying to build at Harvard involves justice and equity for people like them. So, I mean, obviously, no one disagrees with that on the surface. The problem is the word equity and not equality. So I think everyone would understand. We all believe in equality and treating all the students the same and being fair, but equity is the equitable outcome. So I'm not quite sure how that works for the chaplain president of the university. I don't know. What do you know?
No, I don't. But the other thing I thought of when I first saw this, and I skimmed the article, was very, very man-centered, right? It's all very man-centered. The students' comments are all very man or human centered, and I makes me wonder. I don't know if there's any Christian clergy underneath the humanist here, but I would love
It
to hear.
sounds like because it referred to that they voted him in.
Right. I would love to hear what they have to say. I would love to interview one of them.
Well, that's an opportunity for you. So they quoted some students, but they don't quote any. Yeah, they don't quote any of the other chaplains or faith leaders at the school.
Yeah.
And I don't have any other quotes. I was reading about his book. Let me use it. It just says, this is his book, Good Without God, What a Billion Non-Religious People Do Believe. And it's a provocative and positive response to Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, and other new atheists, Good Without God makes a bold claim that for what non-believers do share and believe. Author Greg Epstein, the humanist chaplain at Harvard, offers a worldview for non-believers that dispenses with the hostility and tolerance of religion prevalent in national bestsellers like God is Not Great and The God Delusion. Epstein's Good Without God provides a constructive, challenging response to these manifestos by getting to the heart of humanism and its positive belief in tolerance, community, morality, and good without having to rely on the guidance of a higher being. So basically, he's a humanist more than an atheist based on the way he's approaching his book. And I don't know how much of this was written in 2010, so it's 10 years ago. He was at the university for 5 years before he wrote the book. And there is a difference. I mean, I know that it doesn't seem like much of a difference, but the humanists tend to be a lot more pro-life, right? So they're pro-human. So you tend to be a little bit more defensive about, we should be killing the next group of humans. So like flippantly, whereas the atheists don't tend to. They get into the closest thing I can get to where we can align with them as believers is a lot of the new atheists and a lot of the humanists definitely have an allegiance to non-violence, a lot of those type of principles, anti-war and those kinds of things, which is where a lot of believers align. So, but yeah, story took me by surprise, Bob. You got me pretty good. I usually can surprise you, but that one actually surprised me. So I was like, oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, sure.
But it's Harvard. Well, I mean, it's Harvard. I mean, how do they surprise you anymore? Just a month ago, it was birthing people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can do a whole section on the language changes and stuff that they're doing to change language in our country, because that's been like really, right. Really strange for me.
This is the premier educational institute probably on the planet. And they're talking about birthing people.
Hey, we're News Talk with Brandon and Bob. We're here to tell you about some of the facts so you don't have to waste your time watching CNN.
We don't want you wasting any time with CNN.
Or Fox, or MSNBC, or some of these other guys that are making a whole lot of money.
Et cetera, et cetera.
It's not paying.